What's up, everyone? In this video I'll be making some raised cedar planters. I had a client reach out and they want 6 of them, 2 foot square, 2 foot tall. So I'm going to be making them out of 5/4 western red cedar decking. Right here I'm starting to cut a few of the pieces to length, and then you'll see me set up a stop block, cut some miters, and kind of get a proof of concept for my design here. So check it out. We'll get these boards cut and move on to the next step. Now that I have a few of the boards cut, I'm just setting up a piece of scrap wood here as a stop block to butt my miters against. I've got all of my cedar boards cut at 24 inches. This way I can just butt them against that scrap board and get all my miters cut, and the boards will theoretically remain the same dimension. And you can see here I'm kind of changing up my plan. I was getting too much tear out on those first few test cuts, so I'm actually going to remove that small stop block there. I'm just kind of marking the end location. I'm going to replace it with a full length piece so it's supported on both sides of the saw, and that way I will not get any tear out. I'm going to put clamps on the right side. On the left I cannot, I don't have enough room, but I'm going to use the tape and CA glue method to stick that board on there temporarily. And if you're not familiar with the tape and CA glue method, what I'm referring to is you'll put tape, typically painter's tape, on both materials that you're trying to stick together, and then you'll put some CA glue on one side and spray accelerator on the other, push them together, and you have an instant bond that's surprisingly strong. You would think that it would pull that painter's tape off, but it takes quite a bit of effort. It works pretty good. Right here, I'm just marking the location of the tape. That way I can ensure that when I stand that board up on there, both pieces of tape are actually hitting each other. And now that we finally have our tape, getting the CA glue, accelerator, and that board is stuck on there. For now anyway. Got a clamp on the right side. We're making a test cut and putting our stop block in place, and now we're ready to rock. I'm going to leave this miter saw set up this way for the duration of the project. You'll see later on in the build when I actually pull out a secondary miter saw, because I need to cut some more boards and I don't want to mess with taking that jig off. And here you can see better that temporary back piece and stop block I have set up to cut these miters. Like I said before, I have all these boards cut to 24 inches already. I can just jam them against that stop block, cut my miter, flip it over, and repeat that process until they're all done. $196 miters later. That's too much. Both sides are mitered. We got everything cut. Got all the 2x cut down here, which is cheaper and easier. You get 2x4s and rip them all in half. If you ever try to buy 2x2s, they are really screwy. So got these all ready to go. We'll start assembling. And now for the fun part, where I can finally start to see some progress. I've got my boards all cut to size. I'm going to be assembling them with Titebond 3 and 1.5" brad nails. I'm nailing the miters together as well as the 2x to the corner. I've got a 2-foot 2x. I'm going to be putting in each corner. Everything will be brad nailed in place, and then I will go back and put screws to reinforce that once the box is all assembled. What the hell? You can see right here on this last panel, the miters might not line up perfectly when you first pull it together, but that's alright. You can either grab a clamp like I did here, pull the sides together, or push them apart, whatever you may need to do. In the end, everything lined up good and turned out looking really nice. Alright, got all 6 of them put together. I still have to go back and put screws, put the bottoms on, sand, put the trim around the top. Right here, I'm starting on the assembly of the top frames. I have Cedar 1x4s. I've chosen to put them together with pocket holes. You could just screw these to the top of the planters, but with time, those joints will separate. Right now, I'm putting all the screws in place, making sure the joints line up nicely, and I have all my boards oriented the right way with the ugly side facing up at this point because I'm working on the bottom side. Getting the Craig quick clamp installed on there and screw them together. Take the clamp off and we'll move to the next joint. We'll get these all assembled and work on installing them here in just a minute. Alright, we're back to here. I'm gonna screw these face frames on. And I thought about putting Craig's on the bottom pocket holes to screw the face frames up so you won't see the screws, but I got some trim head screws and I'll fill the holes in. It'll be fine. So right here, I'm just making sure the face frames line up the way I like them. Again, these are garden planters. This is not fine furniture, so I don't have to be super precise on my reveals. Just making sure that everything is symmetrical. Getting those trim head screws put in. I'm screwing them directly through the 1x4s into the 2x bracing underneath. I'll get these all screwed on here in just a few minutes and putty those holes there. Preferred wood filler of the day is DAP plastic wood in natural finish. I'll be using this to fill those trim head screw holes and any of the miter joints that might have a tiny bit of tear out or imperfection, just to fill those in. And here I am the next day finishing up on the sanding. I did not want to bore you with a bunch of footage of sanding. It's everybody's least favorite part. But here again, I've got my DeWalt cordless sander hooked up to the HD Special dust collector and rigid shop vac. Just a simple little cart I made. Got the sanding all finished. Gonna get these planters all stacked in place and start on applying the finish here in just a few minutes. Alright, we got these all sanded down. Let me try to put some teak oil on them, see how that turns out. This is my first time using teak. I was gonna get Danish, I think, but they didn't have it. we'll see how it works out. I'm gonna wipe off the dust and we'll brush it on. Right here I have that teak oil poured into a painting tray, just using a generic 4-inch brush, brushing it on liberally. And it states to let it sit for 15-20 minutes and then apply another coat, let that sit for 15-20 minutes and then wipe off the excess. I only did one coat on these. I let it sit for probably half an hour and it was still quite a bit on there. The cedar was not soaking it up, so I wiped off any that was left and went with that. Right here I'm just working my way around the planters, applying that teak oil, starting from the trim on top and working around the sides. I was pleasantly surprised with how well this finish turned out and how easy it was to apply. I would definitely use it again. And this was just teak oil, natural finish from your big box store. And that sums it up for this project. If you like the content, I would greatly appreciate if you would like and subscribe. See you next time.